And the prosecution are alleging that Diddy ran a criminal enterprise, that he was heading up this organization that was there to facilitate his wants and needs through criminal means. And that RICO charge is what will enable them to tie lots of things together if they can convict him.
That will test whether one of music's most prolific figures used his power, wealth, and fame to exploit both women and men for decades. The decision guarantees Combs will face trial beginning just 4 days from now.
So they say he had these freak-offs, which were these days-long orgies where...
Prosecutors said that he could not be trusted, that he has a history of trying to intimidate witnesses, including some who are going to be witnesses in this case. They urge the judge to remand him, showing up in New York, ready to surrender to face these charges, but prosecutors...
Would you be open to a plea bargain?
People were performing acts. They say they found 1,000 bottles of baby oil in the raids that they performed on his homes.
Because he believes he's innocent. He believes he's innocent. And what's more? Well, it's not up to me. It's up to Mr. Combs, and I don't see it happening.
This is going to be such a massive trial, like maybe the biggest Hollywood trial. God knows which way it's going to go. Is it going to go on for weeks?
Oh, for sure, weeks.
He believes that he needs to stand up. Not just for himself, for his family, and for everybody who's been targeted by the federal government.
Major developments tonight involving the case against Sean Diddy Combs, what he decided in court today, and what this now means, the move coming just 4 days before his trial is set to begin. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs back behind bars, a magistrate judge denying him bail, saying that there were no conditions that she could conceive of that would make her confident that he would appear again for other court appearances.
What made you come here to support Puff?
I'm supporting Puff because he's innocent, and I'm wholeheartedly believing his innocence, and I know he's innocent. So
you say you know he's innocent?
1,000%.
We have the latest from federal court in the Sean Combs criminal case.
Elaborate, sometimes days-long parties by coercing victims through drugs, threats, and manipulation. They claim to have video evidence, and some of the accusations echo details from over 70 civil lawsuits filed against Combs over the last 30 years.
Do you still think that, because there is this public perception, that there are celebrity tapes involved in this case?
No.
Do you still think that there are minors involved in this case?
I'm certain no.
Okay.
And again, when you say this case, we're talking the criminal case.
The criminal case.
In the
correct.
criminal,
I know that.
In the criminal case,
right.
No.
He knows the deck is stacked against him. They've got a ton of evidence. Take the plea deal, dude. Just take it.
Well, my guess is that, because we don't know the deal of the plea deal. At least I don't think we do.
True.
Okay.
What happens is if people go into a trial believing the firepower on the prosecution is so strong, I mean, let's say on a scale of 1 to 100, it's a 95.
Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the...
Could one of hip-hop's biggest moguls be hiding a secret world beneath his lavish estates? That's the shocking question at the heart of the legal storm swirling around Sean Diddy Combs, as prosecutors allege his empire wasn't just built on music and branding, but on a foundation of clandestine activity facilitated by hidden architecture. This isn't just about accusations, it's about blueprints, secret passages, and a witness who literally drew the map to what's being called an engineered conspiracy. The seismic shift in the case came with the cooperation of a man few outside architectural circles knew, Marlon sketch Delacroix. A soft-spoken design prodigy known for crafting modern palaces for stars, Delacroix suddenly found himself facing serious tax evasion charges. But instead of fighting, he flipped, striking a deal with federal investigators that promised reduced time in exchange for the truth about the elaborate projects he worked on, a truth that would add a terrifying subterranean layer to the already explosive allegations against...
That will test whether one of music's most prolific figures used his power, wealth, and fame.
Delacroix told investigators that what started innocently enough as a modest wine-cellar expansion back in 2014 quickly morphed into something far more complex and disturbing. He recounted demands for a soundproof corridor linking the main house to a detached guest house, and then two additional spurs branching off. One led to a mirrored suite hidden beneath the pool cabana. The other snaked under a recording studio, where investigators later found surveillance hard drives were stored. Delacroix even produced AutoCAD renders stamped with Bad Boy-owned LLCs and obscure charity fronts, chillingly labeled Project Lovewalk. According to the architect's proffer, these tunnels weren't for storing vintage wine. He claimed they served 3 alleged purposes: discreet ingress for VIP guests arriving unseen via a service driveway, panic paths in case of threats, and most damagingly, as negative pressure chambers meticulously designed to guarantee conversations and activities remained off any microphone not controlled by Combs. Delacroix swore he oversaw the installation of white noise generators, Faraday cage mesh to block cellular signals, and ceiling-mounted PTZ cameras feeding to a vault room codenamed Control. These features, prosecutors allege, mirror tactics used by ST networks to isolate and record participants away from prying eyes and listening devices. The defense blasted these allegations as architectural theater, claiming panic tunnels are standard high-net-worth security. But Delacroix didn't just bring drawings, he brought the receipts. Invoice ledgers allegedly showed $2.8 million paid for this clandestine construction in cashier's checks drawn from an account tied to a Combs Enterprises Cayman affiliate. He saved email strings where a project manager flagged ballooning costs because Sean wants spa-grade ventilation for the playroom, not cellar spec. And most chillingly, he supplied WhatsApp voice notes where Diddy allegedly joked the mirrored suite looked just like Versailles, but for NDA parties. Forensics authenticated the audio, matching device IDs Apple confirmed belonged to Combs' number 2 assistant. Investigators were reportedly stunned by Delacroix's memory for detail, from a hidden air shaft disguised as a koi pond pump to biometric locks keyed only to a select few insiders. His testimony dovetailed alarmingly with that of Roger Bonds, the bodyguard who flipped earlier, whose ledger already documented off-grid escort deliveries to a side drive gate. Delacroix's map revealed where those escorts allegedly vanished once inside, directly into the tunnel system. Prosecutors can now stitch these 2 accounts together, arguing escorts were funneled through an engineered blind spot designed for illicit movement. The corroboration didn't stop there. A sealed court-ordered inspection using ground-penetrating radar confirmed voids exactly where Delacroix marked the alleged Suite M and Play Pod. Fiber optic scopes drilled through marble allegedly found mirrored walls reflecting infrared light, impossible to detect on prior thermal scans because of foil insulation. This physical evidence has dramatically escalated the legal stakes. Prosecutors are preparing a superseding indictment, adding counts like conspiracy to obstruct justice and structuring financial transactions to hide the money trail. These charges push sentencing guidelines closer to life, regardless of whether jurors convict on every ST-related count. It also opens the door for government forfeiture of real estate used to facilitate crime, meaning the Holmby Hills estate itself could be seized. An unprecedented blow for a mogul whose brand is synonymous with luxury properties. Financially, City National reportedly froze 2 Bad Boy touring accounts, citing enhanced due diligence flags, causing payroll issues and prompting quiet asset sales, maneuvers financial reporters compared to a pre-forfeiture triage. As the investigation deepened, other witnesses emerged. The mechanical subcontractor who installed the negative pressure fans, a Czech immigrant paid in crypto, and allegedly escorted blindfolded, corroborated Delacroix's story, stating he was ordered to set airflow at hospital-grade exchange rates to keep aromas neutral, overkill for a wine cellar, but consistent with concealing certain activities. Simone Porter, cousin of the late Kim Porter, allegedly told federal agents she once walked into the mirrored suite, thinking it an unassigned bedroom, and saw concealed DVR recorders stacked behind a 2-way glass panel. She reported this to Kim, who allegedly confided the room wasn't meant for family. Weeks later, Simone's access card was downgraded. This testimony could suggest surveillance was not only clandestine, but personally controlled by Combs, neutralizing claims that rogue staff were responsible. Roger Bonds further added that he used the tunnel egress gate twice to help guests leave unseen after private appointments, claiming one guest left shaken, dropping a phone he found smashed later. A phone investigators later retrieved, linked to an Instagram model who deleted her account after cryptic posts about industry wolves. The fallout from Tunnelgate has been immediate and widespread. Late-night hosts joked about Diddy turning his mansion into a Bond villain lair, and property analysts whispered about the resale nightmare looming for any celebrity compound with secret passages. On social media, #sign tunnel truth and #sign blueprint to control trended globally. The controversy hit Combs' businesses hard. Revolt Media canceled segments, sponsors balked, streaming of classic Bad Boy singles dropped significantly, and his clothing line lost a department store placement. Comedians like Cat Williams capitalized, framing the tunnels as architected incarceration and Diddy's alleged underground railroad in reverse. Even 50 Cent weighed in, calling the architect's blueprints receipts. This commentary keeps public attention laser-focused, feeding a social media loop prosecutors likely appreciate, normalizing the idea that something truly sinister might lie beneath the marble floors. As the pretrial calendar tightens, Diddy reportedly oscillates between defiance and bargaining, allegedly firing advisors who pushed for a plea deal, wanting to roll the dice at trial. Defense lawyers are bringing in jury consultants, testing narratives like visionary entrepreneur or victim of extortion. But the tunnel blueprints, prosecutors argue, are a silent rebuttal. They plan to walk jurors through a virtual 3D laser scan of the hidden corridors in court, narrated by Delacroix, pointing out features like biometric locks, drain grids compatible with industrial solvents, and the medical-grade ventilation, details that are difficult to reconcile with standard luxury or security. Delacroix, now under martial guard, prepares for cross-examination, admitting his fear of Combs, not greed, drove him to hide income, fearing the mogul would blacklist him if an IRS audit was discovered. Marlon Delacroix once measured success in square footage. Now, under protection, sketching quietly, he measures it in reduced months on a potential sentence. He admits the grim irony. He built escape routes, but none for himself, save for the path offered by telling the truth. The project codename he scrolled on every drawing, Project Love Walk, once seemed like clever branding, an homage to Diddy's rebrand. Now, he says, he sees it differently. The walk was never about love. It was a route to power without witnesses. The music industry braces for the outcome, as even curators quietly demote Bad Boy classics, worried about backlash. When court resumes, a poster-sized floor plan will reportedly be rolled out, its inked passageways glowing like veins. Prosecutors will ask jurors to imagine what flowed through them, not just air, but perhaps people, cameras, whispered deals. Then they'll introduce Marlon Delacroix, the man who drew the veins, now tasked with pumping truth through every line. In a saga already filled with dramatic figures, the house designer's testimony, rooted in concrete and steel, may be the most undeniable piece of the puzzle. Diddy always preached hustle, innovation, surprise. He may soon learn that innovation cuts both ways when blueprints become blue evidence. The hustle that built these alleged tunnel kingdoms is now laid bare for 12 citizens tasked with deciding whether those kingdoms were opulent palaces or prisons crafted for someone else's silence.